Top 10 puzzles I did in Edric's Wait, what is that? Treasure hunts use a linear series of puzzle trails where solving one leads to the next puzzle, often with nice travel action like in Fetch with Rough Roughman. Puzzle hunts use a group series of puzzles with a more open choice of what to tackle first, and answers tied together with meta puzzles. Ptruzzle hunts combine the in-round orderness of treasure hunts with meta connectivity of puzzle hunts, and Ptruzzle hunts go further by starting with a puzzle hunt unlock structure before transitioning into the Ptruzzle structure. Now let's skip some rocks and talk about puzzles. This one involved a big skip! Regardless of the format, hunt puzzles may still require us to infer what is going on. In the case of my 10th place pick for kids, these blanks are meant to invoke the alphabet via the blank structure. Normally, working letters spells out a clue phrase about the ghastly crumb tinies, which is what the alphabet is for. However, I somehow figured out the ghastly crumb tinies without that step, primarily due to being familiar with that Abecedarian book all about injuries. Doing puzzle hunt videos might have made me more hardcore over the years. Though there is always more to light up. We're lighting things up in my 9th place pick of Light Up. The instructions directly tell us to calculate the lights and remind me of the 2019 Power Round. But what isn't stated directly is that the results get decoded by encoding schemes like binary, semaphore, or pigpen. While I worked on doing the first entry manually, my teammates were speedier with the math calculations and spreadsheet automation. By the time I finished the first part, 2 of my teammates collectively did the other 4. Now the jigsaw puzzles. Back in the day, I enjoyed doing jigsaw puzzles with a friend in middle school, and I got to watch Mark Rober develop a robot that solves those puzzles. This robot relies on analyzing the edge shapes to find the pieces that link together, but that means there are 2 areas where this robot falls short: square pieces and missing pieces, which made things hard for my Easter jigsaw puzzle, and my 8th place pick of red herrings. At least I can pull up the completed picture for my Easter jigsaw, but I can't say the same thing for red herrings. Thus, figuring out the overall dimensions can be a challenge. The edge markings helped a bit, but my teammates also noticed the smaller black edges that all pieces have, as the jigsaw can be split into 2x3s. With so many pieces intentionally left out, this looks like a Braille extraction to finish off this really unique take on the jigsaw format. On the topic of assembly, we're putting together chunks of letters to form a clue phrase in the multigrams puzzle at 7th place. I've worked with something like this before, but when clues are for terms in linguistics this time, solving them can be a total nightmare, even with the multigrams brink. Our strategy involves seeing which multigram combinations make sense before confirming them in a Wikipedia search. But even with the clue solved, we still need to extract a final answer. A teammate observed that the trigrams can spell a phrase on taking the difference in lengths of each chunk of the solution. That's a well-hidden instruction for binary that we can convert. At least this one was easier. One of the puzzles I came across and soloed is basically your average algebra homework. I mean, the premise is literally just finding the slope-intercept form of the 5 lines, but I might have jumped the gun on soloing this one. You see, Edric's puzzle hunts are released day by day, such that finishing a set often involves waiting for the next set. As such, my teammates' solving style involves working together one by one. But my solve style often involves jumping around and picking out which one looks the easiest. Not ideal team coordination, until the Ptruzzle hunt structure set the unlock structure ablaze in a series of unfortunate events that I probably should have read about since that one puzzle with my jigsaw-loving friend. Anyway, when speed teams can start finishing the hunt, now my team started favoring my strategy as I first went for my 6th place pick of the algebra homework, Fire Edition. This time, one of the lines is a vertical line, so the undefined slope must mean the mechanics are different. But 2 points are still enough for Euler's first postulate in line finding, and with some points burned out, might as well recalculate them via finding the intersections. And thanks to the format of point-slope form, all I need is a rise over run before I can run equations through Wolfram Alpha to find intersection points to A1Z26. But that's not the only theory change. One puzzle that we worked on is a standard nonogram. If you haven't been crossed before, the goal is to stage square cells so that the horizontal and vertical clues correctly indicate the runs of black cells. Nothing out of the ordinary until the fire kicks into a non-standard nonogram at 5th place. This time, the clues only refer to the total number of shaded squares in a row or column, and a good number of clues are burned away. At first, this looks to have a vague setup, until my teammate observed that the Fire Edition uses the same 7x7 font from MP0 as the original. Seems like a lucky find, but we also had strategy in calculating how much is shaded in rows and columns for each letter and running sheets automation with the ignoritic cases. That made for a very unique solve path for this unique nonogram. But at least we still salvaged some shreds. Conflicting factors started off as a crossword with a simple gimmick of two colliding entries having different letters, and Googling most of the clues allow us to make quick work of them. Then the fire made things harder, or should I say more cryptic, in my 4th place pick. Although we're still finding out how definition and wordplay works together, 2 Fury challenges made the clue solving much harder. For one, the grid isn't there, making it look like a diagram less until a teammate found the original grid still works. Even then, some of the clues gets burned away, reducing the amount of cross-checks we can do. But that's not all. Unlike the original, the letters we got don't seem to form words. Rather, we got the final answer when a teammate took the A1Z26 values and multiplied them. After all, they're conflicting factors. Gotta give a hand for that. And also for the direction. Many early round puzzles didn't give us much trouble, but the UK version of semaphores almost got us good. The classic semaphores conventions result in complete nonsense without much sense of direction until a teammate stumbled upon a Beatles album that just so happened to match a semaphore, allowing us to finish this off with the cryptogram. But I want to light up my 3rd place pick of the WK version instead. The semaphores are the same, but the shirts have a lot of Fs and zeros. There's also the RYGCBM note at the bottom. That means we're looking at the RGB values, and there just so happen to be groups of 3 for 8 colors to find, including the white as W and black as K. But the big highlight is finding the extraction. Exactly 6 directions are used by the groups of 3, so we can use semaphore on the remaining 2 to get the answer. Now this logic puzzle is hard! That Area 91 puzzle is one of the hardest I've ever seen. For one, there's so much to consider thanks to 4 different conditions. As a team, our strategy involved one teammate sharing the Pempo work screen and everybody else pointing out observations and reasoning. The extraction was really interesting. Find a path that goes through each fence hexagon exactly once, and apply a veneer like shift for the super secret, government issue, alien decoder ring, as in the length 42 string. Naturally, the teammate also went out to work in the Fury version of Area 91, but we ran into a no-solution roadblock. But I also saw the extra notice, and even with parts burned away, we were still able to see that we can discard one criterion. So my teammate went back to work and found that there were unique solutions for each removed criteria. Extraction took a while, but we were able to get the answer after a resort to marking which region landed in all of the 4 fenced areas. So which one did I like better? Ultimately, I'll give the runner-up to the Fire version. Aside from being able to do slightly more on that puzzle, the sheer number of constraints that Edric needed to get right was really impressive. And finally, I like puzzles that I can solve. One puzzle from the hunt stood out as my clear-cut favorite, and that's a Napier Skeleton Fire Edition. But before I explain what's going on, let's rewind a bit. John Napier developed the Napier's bones as a concise way of multiplying large numbers. The process involves putting products into boxes and adding diagonally with a good old distributive property working behind the scenes, just like in the traditional multiplication algorithm. This time, the products are run through a cryptogram, so time to take out our number theory strats. An easy start is recognizing the row of zeros, but a clever observation a teammate made was seeing with a multiplication by 9 via seeing the digits in each box add up to the same number in a row. Once that's done, we can multiply via Wolfram Alpha and A1Z26 the chunks of 2. But in the Fire Edition, there are a lot more symbols to run through, precisely 16, but that meant we needed new strategies in the space 16 hexadecimal. Bounding arguments still allow me to express products in at most 2 digits, but I can go further than that given one of the numbers by narrowing down the number of possible digits of the 2-digit number. Once I deduce that the last column must be a 2, I can label nearly all of the even digits. Eventually, I'm able to figure out the rest of the digits and wolfram my way to the final product. And after solving 10 Fury puzzles in pursuit of the Firestarter, we unlock the VFD meta. But this meta uses the VFDs after each solve instead of the Fury answers. As such, finding a direction was so hard that the later days were mostly just waiting for the next hint drops. At least until Sunday, as I would be busy catching dynamos and going geocaching with that jigsaw-loving friend. By the time I got back, my teammates finished the hunt, and from the looks of it, I didn't miss much. So that wraps up Edric's Ptruzzle hunt. The structure didn't seem new as I thought with some of the parallels to the highs and lows of Duel, but I really like the mechanic of tougher fire variants of earlier puzzles. Thanks to Edric and Stratton for the mishaps, mayhems, and misadventures, and for viewers like you, thank you!